What's up guys, Jeff Cavalier, ATHLEAN-X.com. So I remember 30 years ago, the very first time I picked up a weight, I actually hated it. I did not want to lift weights whatsoever. I wanted to look bigger. I even dressed the part to look bigger. Yes, that's actually me. But I didn't want to put the work in to get there. Thankfully, I learned how to love the process, and I'm going to make sure you do today because I'm going to show you the 7 biggest mistakes that beginners make that oftentimes gets them off track before they even get started. If you follow these pieces of advice, you're going to make sure that you don't trip up the same way I did. All right, so with that being said, guys, let's start breaking them down one by one. All right, so right off the bat, I don't want to break anybody's heart, but I got to give you the truth here. You see, you can't get around, and I mean literally get around nutrition. And I'm talking about either overeating the wrong foods or undereating the right foods. There is no magic exercise plan. There's no great ab routine. None of those things will overcome the fact that you're not eating properly. So let's say you're a guy that's overweight right now and you decide to lift weights. Yes, you're going to be bigger, but you're going to be a bigger fat guy. Or let's say you're a skinny guy who doesn't eat nearly enough and you lift some weights. Yeah, you might get some results, but they won't be anywhere near what you could get if you actually supported your efforts and your training in the gym with proper nutrition. Think of it this way, guys. It's the perfect two-man team. You have to have both of them working towards that end goal, nutrition and training, if you want to look your best. Mistake number 2 is actually picking up the weights too soon. You see, if you don't learn how to command your own body in space, then you're probably going to look a bit ugly when you grab the weights, and that's because you haven't learned proper joint stability in any of your exercises. So what I'm asking you to do is rewind it a little bit. Start in the beginning and learn how to master the basic bodyweight movements, like a push-up and like a pull-up. And when you do, you'll see that your task gets infinitely easier when you actually go back to pick up the weights. And don't be discouraged here, guys. The bodyweight training is not going away forever. As a matter of fact, it's going to come back and complement the perfect training routine because that's where some of the most difficult calisthenic exercises can be performed. But not before you learn how to build that base of strength and stability with the proper execution of the basic movements. So let's stay on that idea here for a second for mistake number 3, and that is you're forgetting to address your mobility and flexibility issues early. You see, before you make, or even as you make that transition to the weights, if you're not looking yourself in the mirror, and I mean literally looking at yourself and seeing all the postural flaws and mobility issues that you have and addressing them, then you're setting yourself up for long-term failure. Look, there are people out there that will tell you you can work through these things if you just pick up the weights and start working on perfecting your mechanics. But what I'm telling you is you're actually going to work them in to improper mechanics and make it a hell of a lot harder to correct these things down the road once you've built your strength around these imperfections. And if you get them out of the way early, guys, you're going to be able to build a better foundation free from the cracks that are going to ultimately take you down in the long run. Beginner mistake number 4 is forgetting to lose the routine part of your workout routine. What I mean is once you've adopted a habit of training, then you want to try to get out of the routine of training as quickly as possible. Look, does this seem familiar to you? You kind of knock out the same amount of push-ups every time you do them, and you move on. And you knock out the same amount of sit-ups, and then you move on. Or maybe the same amount of air squats, and you move on. There's no challenge in that, guys. And in order to change yourself beyond that beginner newbie phase, you're going to need to challenge yourself. And that's where you need to incorporate a new exercise, a new stress to the exercise. Make it difficult in some way, shape, or form. Add weight to the exercise. Once you start to learn how to properly overload, then the changes will continue to come. But if you just get comfortable in that routine of doing the same thing over and over again, which a lot of beginners will, you'll lose not only the enthusiasm for training, but the gains that come along with it. Mistake number 5 for beginners is taking rep counts too seriously. Now look, I create programs and I know how effective programs can be for guiding someone from point A to point Z. But what happens with beginners oftentimes is they're so focused on counting their reps that they stop making the reps count. And what I mean by that is it affects you in 2 different ways. Let's say you're doing a set here and you know that you're supposed to get 10 repetitions. And on the first 2, they're actually harder than what you thought they were going to be. You might decide to sort of back off a little bit and just quick rep yourself through 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, only to rejoin the effective reps again to get to your magic number of 10. Well, guess what? You've wasted half of the set, and the effort there just isn't good enough to take you to that next level. On the other hand, if you're so fixated on getting to that number and you're going to do so come hell or high water, even if it means sacrificing not just your form, but your safety in the process, that's never going to be a recommendation that I'm going to tell you should do. You need to be able to do the reps that you can as effectively as you can and get rewarded for doing that. Skipping around playing with the numbers just to get to that number is never going to be the most effective way to get you gains. Building off of some of the earlier mistakes, mistake number 6 requires that you learn what failure looks like and more importantly, feels like. You see, a lot of beginners don't really ever grasp what this is, and it holds them back from making significant progress. If you just move through your sets without any real discomfort and looking like you're maybe on a Sunday drive as opposed to training to build muscle, you're likely never going to be satisfied with the results you get. You have to push your body to the point of challenge in order to create that change. So when I mention failure and recommend failure to even beginners, I'm trying to get you to understand what it feels like on a given set. You want to be able to push, and each repetition becomes more and more difficult. However, when you reach a point of form failure, we're done. We don't want to sacrifice our safety in the process of trying to get out that other rep. We talked about that. But you do have to be able to push and grind your way through a repetition. And don't get caught up in some of the new phrases like RPE and other methods of measuring your exertion levels, because you probably don't have a good enough appreciation for what that even means. To you, a 7.5 versus an 8 will mean no difference because you don't truly know what it means to take yourself to that point of failure. You can back yourself off once you've determined what failure feels and looks like, but you need to feel it first in order to be able to program around it.
So who better to deliver point number 7 on beginner mistakes than me, the perpetual hard gainer? Realize that it takes time and that you need to enjoy the journey. Listen, it's been a long time for me, and some of my critics out there would say I've made no gains except for on my beard. Now, take a look back at when I started, and you'll see, yes, I've made gains over the years, and my journey has become much more enjoyable because I learned to enjoy that process. And we're always learning something new. For me, I'm learning how to eat better. I ditched the gummy bears, but I'm still trying to eat more and more nutritious foods. It's those little victories that mean the most. For me, it was, setting a new PR, looking in the mirror and seeing some new gains, some size on my muscles. And it's going to work for you as well. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but in the end, it's going to be worth it.
Remember, guys, we were all beginners at some point, and I remember exactly what I felt when I was going through that stage, and I'm recommending to you guys that if you avoid these mistakes that we covered here, your journey will be a lot faster, despite what Jesse just said, because you can cut out a lot of the things that hold beginners back. Not anymore. If you're looking for programs, guys, where we take you through step by step and make sure you don't make these mistakes, they're all available over at ATHLEAN-X.com. We even include the nutrition plan that Jesse's trying to follow to get those gains coming. If you found the video helpful, make sure you leave your comments and thumbs up below. And also, if you haven't already done so, make sure you click subscribe and turn on your notifications so you never miss a new video when we put one out. All right, guys. See you soon.
I'm going to go eat some good food.